Hi, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself and tell me what project you're working on?
Sure. My name is Daniela Barbosa. I am the Executive Director of the Hyperledger Foundation. I also serve as the General Manager for all things blockchain and identity across the Linux Foundation, which is a pretty amazing job to have, and I'm very grateful to do that.
What problem do you think you are solving in the Web3 space with everything that you're doing?
So the Linux Foundation for the last 20 years has been the home for open source code and developer communities. Some of the largest and most important code projects sit under the Linux Foundation, starting with the Linux kernel, of course, but many more across all sectors, from the movie industry to the car industry to cloud computing with Kubernetes. In 2016, we formed the Hyperledger Foundation to address blockchain and blockchain-related technologies, including some very critical digital identity projects that sit under Hyperledger. And so what we're doing is we're gathering code projects that are going to be really critical to these new infrastructures, whether it's Web3 infrastructures or tokenization projects, things like central bank digital currencies, like them or hate them, but really when enterprises, government organizations, and B2B space needs to build technologies using open source that is openly developed and open governed, and that's what we're really focused on. And I think it's critical in the Web3 world that open development is the way to do it. You can't just be like, well, you can see the code over here in the GitHub, but how can you influence it? How can you influence the code? How can you participate? How can you contribute? And that's what the Linux Foundation's been doing for 20 years, and the Hyperledger Foundation for the last 7.
Wow, that's amazing. Totally so important within the space. Do you have any news or exciting announcements, metrics that you'd like to share with us?
So our project since 2016 has grown. We now have 15 different open source projects that really address the continuum of where enterprises and governments are looking at blockchain and digital identity solutions. So back in 2016, perhaps a very much permission distributed ledgers, blockchains, and today we really have a continuum of projects that address different use cases. So for example, here today we're talking about Hyperledger Besu, which is our Ethereum execution client, so you can run Hyperledger Besu as a mainnet execution client. It's actually currently right now number 3, so you have Geth and Nevermind and then Besu. And it's really important for the Ethereum mainnet to actually have client diversity, right? You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, one Geth basket as well. So we've had a lot of support from the Ethereum Foundation, for example. Last year they awarded us a large grant specific for client diversity to help support Besu as a mainnet client. Besu, however, can also be run as a permission network, and more companies, financial services, and banks are actually picking up Besu to do tokenization projects, for example, using Besu as an EVM. They are comfortable, they can get really great engineering talent, and I recommend all the engineers, all the Ethereum engineers out there to come and take a look at Besu. There's a lot of great jobs that are going to be opening up if they're not already open in very large companies looking for talent to do that. So for us, it's really important to bring the talent and then to bring the commercialization. How do you make sure when these banks or government agencies are using the code that they can have commercial partners that they work to in the market? So that's kind of our focus, and we're very excited about Besu. This afternoon, we're also doing a session on Firefly, which is another one of our new projects. And Firefly, consider it like a super node to build Web3 applications that supports multiple chains. So you can run it on a permission chain with Fabric or Corda or others, but you can also run on Polygon and Avalanche, and obviously Ethereum mainnet as well. So really building, multiple projects that are supporting all different enterprise use cases is our focus.
Switching gears here a little bit, we spoke earlier today, and I definitely was saying that we would love to host you here at the House of Web3. We believe that it's really important to meet in real life, educate people, to let people know what's happening in Web3, and to also onboard the people of Web2. I think you are kind of at that intersection too, or working in both kind of fields. What do you think having a space where you meet in real life, like how important do you think that is?
Well, for me personally, it's very important. I thrive on being in front of people and talking to people and really connecting with our community. And and over the last 2.5 years, I've done a lot of that, but it's been on Zoom, right? And some of my most favorite moments are actually when I'm talking to a developer, for example, in Africa somewhere, and they're just so excited to talk to us about the projects that they're building with using Hyperledger tech. And when you come to events like this, you get that same type of enthusiasm. So I've met a few people already here today that were like, oh, we use Hyperledger in this way. And this is part of my job as an open source person. We never know. Like, we don't have like a contract that everybody has to sign when they use our code. So I'm always learning and learning from one another. And being in a place like this, and this is an absolutely beautiful place. I worked here in the Presidio area for 3.5 years, and I just love this location. And what you've done with the place is just amazing, and it leads to conversations. Every space in this corner, every little room I've gone into, I can actually have a quiet conversation with people, which is fantastic. So congratulations on that, because sometimes not so easy to do.
I know. Thanks so much. Well, thanks for being with us. Where can people find you, and where can people find your projects?
Sure. So all the projects at linuxfoundation.org, Hyperledger Foundation projects, hyperledger.org. You can find me on LinkedIn. Is usually the best way to go. I'm on Telegram and all the other chats, but LinkedIn is usually the best way to connect with me. And I look forward to, hopefully helping people, onboard themselves into our Hyperledger community.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.